Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Tokyo Trauma Talks. This is episode 4, and this is all about holding space, healing, treatment, and what comes next in trauma. And I'm here today with Mary Stanley, who is studying for a degree in human services with a minor in trauma. I'm here also with María Paula Farfán, who is a trauma-informed facilitator who works in the Prison Compassion Project. And I'm also here with Paula Esguerra, who is meditation teacher, yogi, and works with contemplative practices and meditation. And I'm a coach and executive coach and life coach with a background in psychology and biology. Before we jump in today, I just want to once again remind you that we are talking about trauma. So please take care of yourselves around this if that's something that might activate something inside you. So please do take care of yourselves in today's session. So we have in 1, 2, and 3 defined trauma, defined different types of trauma. We've talked about the various projects that we're doing and the studies that we're doing and what we all bring to the table in terms of how we have done our own work and also what we're doing in the world of trauma as well. I wondered if you would like to now just start talking to us a little bit about how you're working with trauma, maybe something about what the potential is for it. And we don't want to play this down like you can heal yourself. Just turn that frown upside down. Please be very, very aware that we are not about that. And especially if you listen to 1, 2, and 3, you'll see the sequence of events that brings us here. We hold you all very, very compassionately if you have experienced either PTSD or C-PTSD or other types of trauma or brain injury and so on. We know it isn't easy. We understand that it can be very, very, very difficult to live in these circumstances and can be like that for an entire life. And that's okay. That's absolutely okay. Wherever you are with this is absolutely okay. But we also talked about the possibilities and the potential for working with trauma and with healing and what the collective love and community and having the space held for you can do. So I'd really love to jump in with Paula Esguerra today, because this is really, really, really her area of interest. So let's see what you've got to tell us about holding space, healing, treatment, and what comes next, and maybe a little bit about neuroplasticity as well.
Yes. As we mentioned in the last episode, our bodies are amazing in that they offer the possibility to protect us from danger. And often, as we have discussed in previous episodes, traumatic events are interpreted and stored in our organisms, and then the body will respond and find ways to protect us. You've mentioned before, Sarah, I work with the meditation. One of the things that's interesting about meditation and other contemplative practices, including yoga, is that in the same way that our bodies have the ability to protect us from danger, they also have an amazing possibility to heal. So what we see often with trauma is that the response will create a specific brain patterns and will get stored in the body, as we've discussed previously. But then if we take on the task of approaching this and going through the experiences with the help of these practices, then it is also amazing how the body can restore itself. Studies in both neuroplasticity, but also in epigenetics, show this, that there are all these possibilities of expression in our bodies. Our environment plays a big role in how this is expressed. Some of the neuroscientific experiments that are being carried out shows us is that even, sometimes the mind cannot even distinguish between quote unquote a real event. That's why things that like affirmations or visualizations work for some people, because the mind and the body actually might experience it with the same level of intensity as the quote unquote real event. So these are just a few ways in which the body and the mind can be used to address traumatic events. And also even by quote unquote reconditioning us, these practices can be used. And I don't take this lightly at all. Like Sarah said, this is a long journey. It's not like you can just sit and affirm for 10 minutes in the train and you will be healed. No, but there is something to be said about the capacity of the organism to heal, to restore itself, and our brains to rewire in ways that might be supportive towards our thriving.
Thank you so much. Yeah, in my line of coaching, we call it tiller shifts or like 1 degree shifts. So just a 1 degree shift can take you to an entirely different town or city, right? So if I take off from here in Japan and go 1 degree, I won't end up in Argentina. I'll end up in Chile instead, probably further away. It'll take you to a different continent. So just small things accumulating all the time. Of course, you go back and go round and stuff like that. Islands show up that you didn't know were going to be there or what have you, or weather systems show up that are going to take your plane in a different direction or your boat in a different direction. I really like that we're starting to recognize that it's not easy. It's not a quick fix. Can you just tell us a little bit more? What's epigenetics and neuroplasticity? I don't know if you've got a definition or if can you just give a quick explanation?
Yeah, so neuroplasticity is the ability of the brain to change itself. Before, it was thought that certain things were set in the brain and it was very hard to modify what happened in the brain. And for example, now we're seeing that long-term meditators, there's areas in the brain that manage emotional control. Often these areas will get more developed in meditators. So this shows that this short practice that people engage in every day actually has an effect long term in the body. So again, it's not a quick fix. We're talking about people who have practiced for a long time, but we see that over time, the brain changes. With epigenetics, again, I'm not a specialist in this, but my understanding is that we have a number of genes, and then it's like a closet where you have all this guardrail of genes, and depending on the environment, those specific traits or get expressed or not. They get switched on or switched off. So epigenetics is the study of these gene expressions and how they can be changed and altered.
Yeah, it's so exciting to hear these things and just to imagine that we could not just be healed, but just to have a little bit better experience of every day, even just a little bit more enjoyment or a little bit more peace in every day feels so miraculous to me. I'd love Maria Paula to tell us what her reactions to these are, and or Mary, whoever wants to speak into the space first.
I was listening to Paula and I was thinking, definitely we have this beautiful possibility of changing the way we think, the way we are, our personalities. And that's where neuroplasticity shows up and let us feel that we are not determined to be the people or the person you think you are. We're not determined to be that. And what I find really amazing about trauma is that, yes, you can heal the event, but the power behind trauma is just like making you realize your behaviors, your belief system, you becoming aware of that. Just like making a conscious exercise of changing it. It's not a matter of a therapy. It's not a matter of going to a specific treatment. It's this whole journey of yourself of, okay, I used to be that way because that way like really helped me survive. And you decided to be or have that personality because that really protects you because everything's a matter of survival. But then when you are aware of this, it's just like, okay, probably that happened when I was 15, 7, whatever. I'm not that girl anymore. It's so powerful when like you come self-aware and have that chance of changing the way you think, the way you respond. And that's a freedom that we have to be very aware of. We are not determined to be someone. Let's find out the lesson there to be learned and then move on, And that's the magic of life in a way.
One word that kind of kept coming up for me is like relationship. It's like you're able to, through the processing your grief and learning these techniques, that you're actually getting to have a relationship with yourself for the first time, and that you're not operating out of a place of survival. Like you're getting to know yourself. that's something to me I try to remember, like when I read or anything about people processing trauma or seeking therapy or different therapeutic avenues for trauma. This is sometimes the first time in their life that they're actually getting to stop and reflect inward. And to me, that's something that I feel like is such a privilege and so powerful, that you kind of like what Paula and Marie Paula said is you're not who you were at that trauma does not mean that that's who you're always going to be. And you can develop those skills and learn about yourself. So I think that's also so amazing.
Now, Paula, what's your favorite technique to work, either for yourself or for the people that you work with, to process?
There's a lot, but I would probably summarize it. To me, a big discovery has been the world of feeling. And feeling is separated from emotion. To me, emotion is more reactive and feeling is more essential. Being able to connect and share feeling. I think that breath is just such a beautiful thing, to be conscious of the fact that I am alive. As long as I'm breathing, I am alive. It's a way to come into contact with my environment, with my body, but it also has so much information about my state. As a meditator, that's a key tool for me, is observing the breath. I also enjoy a lot journaling. And through journaling, I've been able to start mapping these areas of trauma. For me, it came through, for example, I would journal every morning. I've done that for many years. And when I reread my journals, is these stories that are there again and again and again. Often we oscillate, human beings, between victimhood and being the hero. And those stories of victimhood and heroine are what I've come to discover for myself, often revolve around this point of trauma. Journaling and even sometimes drawing and mapping these themes. What are the themes that keep coming up, like a scratch record in those journals? Or what are the feelings that come up? And then finally, just to wrap up, I think that also when we talk about the world of feeling, we often don't even have a vocabulary. We're starved for feeling. And so the study of nonviolent communication has really helped me to increase my vocabulary when we connect, to really name things, give them the accurate name, and to see that it's a bigger spectrum than we are used to. So having the vocabulary, having the contact with the breath, of course, through the body and yoga and journaling, those have been my key tools in this journey.
Wow, processing. Maria Paula, what are your favorites?
My favorite is community, I will say. Every time I've been able to share how I feel, to share what I think, just like feeling held is just like something that really alleviates my soul, feeling light, feeling belonging to something bigger, like not feeling alone with this feeling or any hard situation. I truly believe that community is big, and I feel like we're feeling thirsty for healthy relationships. We need to come together. We need to find that our neighbor could be our friend. We need to strengthen our bonds with people that we feel safe. Doesn't have to be your family but there are many people there that you can, share how you feel. It's just like, for me, like when I'm doing this job in prison, the most transformative thing for them to start sharing what they've been through is just like feeling heard and seen. When you feel heard and seen, when you feel that way, magic happens. Core wounds all start to heal. As we said in the last episode, I do believe love has so much to do here. That's my favorite way of healing, is community.
There's a beautiful word in Japanese, which is kizuna, which means those kind of the threads that attaches. In the Chinese character, the kanji for thread is in there, and it's like the threads that attaches. And the year of the earthquake, every year there's a priest in Kyoto that gets the gigantic brush and does the Chinese character for it in the most beautiful, very stylized calligraphy. And the year of the earthquake and tsunami, the chosen kanji was a kizuna, to show the strength of the bonds rather than disaster or something like that. So I really love that. Mary, how about you? Do you have a favorite or a top 10?
I just kind of echo like the community and having those people that I can turn to and talk, and it feels that we're both meeting each other on an equal plane. And this is maybe more of a grounding technique, is living in the countryside is just, I just like to walk to as far of the middle of nowhere as I can and just like observe the world. I don't remember who said it, to know that I'm here. Like I'm here and I'm safe. And that's something that I always tell myself, I'm here, I'm safe. In those moments, just kind of like allow myself to feel how I'm feeling. And I think it's kind of like connection to people, but also connection to the earth and the world around me. So that helps me process through those things.
I think you really have mentioned the word soothing a lot, like being soothed. And you've shared a few stories from your childhood about that as well, about how you really understood to soothe, but also understood what was socially acceptable and not, about like having a pacifier, or what we call in England a dummy or something like that. But just knowing it was there, an option. Everything you've all said, I think really self-awareness, but not self-awareness from a critical perspective, but self-awareness of all the things you've just mentioned. Self-awareness of my trauma, and it's valid. It's actually valid. And the community piece is so important, like finding people who will be like, oh yeah, that's right, that does sound hard, or a great therapist, and all these things, all the things that have been mentioned. But no place that I experience is greater than that, than the grief circle that I run, the Lighthouse Grief Circle, where we've been running that since 2021. That's where people come to say these things that are usually marginalized, taboo, minimized. I mean, we have everything in there, from people who take their own lives to children passing away, or elderly parents passing away, but then people not really acknowledging people's grief because of that, or pets. We just open up so much space for people there. And that's what we note, exactly the same as what Maria Paula said. It's that kind of, when we open that up for people and say, everything's welcome, you can say whatever you like, nobody's going to give you advice. We're just here to hold and be compassionate. And we have program, we have meditations, we have bits and pieces. But my favorite thing is that kind of self-awareness, but then the people who can kind of hold it with you. So they're also part of it too. And who are we in all of this? It's so exciting. I really love that I asked that question about what's your favorite thing. And then I wonder what your reflections are as we kind of close out this session 4. Is there any kind of closing words that you'd like to bring to the table? I think that I just love everything we just said then.
Yeah, I guess something I have had through this episode, and it's a question more than anything else, is what does it mean to be a trauma-informed friend? And if I want to really embody all these things that we've been speaking about, what does it take? What does that look like? And how can I become that person? That's been an important question for me as we go through these conversations.
For me, is confirming the power of sharing our stories. Definitely, as we said before, trauma isolates us, but talking about trauma reunites us. That's something that is my takeaway. We don't have to be experts, because this is like a life experience. And in that matter, we are all experts. That's my takeaway.
My takeaway is that our bodies and our minds are these beautiful machines, and that we will seek survival, whether that is through experiencing traumatic incident to later on processing the trauma, is that we're meant to survive. So that's something that I keep taking away from it, is we're these beautiful, our minds, our bodies, that we're meant to survive.
I've just so enjoyed listening to all of you putting things in here. I just feel like believe people and create space. And then, I mean, full circle moment here was when we were having our pre-talk to this, was compassion, just always bringing compassion to yourself and to the people and to the system. That feels really, really, really like it. So thank you all very, very much for bringing so much wisdom and insight and touching on the science, the psychology, the spirit, for bringing so much compassion and understanding to this topic, and so much expertise and experience as well from so many different areas. Thank you all for listening. If you have any questions, do email us or get in touch or comment below, and we will look forward to hearing any takeaways that you've had. Mary, Maria Paula, and Paula, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
Sarah.
you. Thank you. Thank you so much.